So our last little bit here of understand what all shifts the demand curve has to do with the prices and availability of other goods in addition to the one that I'm purchasing. And so again, similar to income and wealth, we're going to have to break goods down into two different groups. So substitutes are goods that sounds exactly like what it should be, are substitutes for each other. Right? So I'm going to buy one or the other one is the idea. So, of course, you can, potentially disagree with me that these are, substitutes, but Domino's pizza and Papa John's pizza. Those would be substitute goods, right? I can either buy a Domino's pizza or I can buy a Papa John's pizza. And the prices of those two goods relative to each other is going to influence demand for one or the other. So, another example that so if I go to sporting events, right? Major League Baseball game and a NFL football game, those could be substitutes, right? So I'm either going to go to a Brewers game at some point this year, or I'm going to try to go to a Packers game. Now, depending on which one you like better, they may be less perfect substitutes, but they're still, roughly speaking, substitutes. You'll tend to do one or the other. So let's stick with our Domino's and Papa John's example here. And so let's look at demand for Domino's. Pizza. Right, so I've got a demand curve for Domino's pizza here. Quantity and price. Okay, so what happens to demand for Domino's pizza if the price of Papa John's pizza increases? Right, so now a Papa John's pizza is more expensive than it was before. What does that do to demand for Domino's pizza? Well, since they're substitutes, I'm going to tend to substitute into more of the cheaper good. So now Domino's is relatively cheaper. And so the increase in the price of Papa John's is going to shift demand for Domino's to the right. Papa John's price went up, that increases demand for the substitute good. And it's going to be vice versa. So if I kind of wrote some rules here, the price of the substitute goes up, demand is going to increase. Demand for this good, right, that is being substituted. The price of the substitute goes down, then demand is going to decrease. Right, so when the price of Papa John's pizzas goes down, I'm going to buy more Papa John's pizzas and fewer Domino's. So demand for Domino's pizzas is going to decrease. All right, so substitutes, price of the substitute goes up, demand goes up. Price of the substitute goes down, demand for this good goes down. What are the other options? It's not a substitute. It is what we call a complement or complementary goods. So complements are goods that are consumed together. Right, and so there's lots of examples of complementary goods. peanut butter and jelly. Left and right shoes. So, one example I thought of when I was thinking about the NFL football games. So there's right. So if you've ever been to Lambeau Field recently, they have this relatively new concession item called the Lamb Bowl. So what is this thing? It comes in like a souvenir helmet, and it has tater tots, cheese curds, bratwurst, cheese sauce, and jalapenos, I think, if I remember right. So it's got everything you could possibly want to throw into one thing. So that's a concession that I get at the Green Bay Packer game. So that good, Lamb Bowls, are a complimentary good to an NFL football game or a Green Bay Packers game, right? So how does this work with respect to demand? So let's think of, we'll stick with my Lamb Bowl and Packers tickets. And so if I look at demand for Packers tickets, quantity and the price. If the price of a Lamb Bowl increases, then my demand for Packers tickets goes down because those are complementary goods, right? So I like to consume them together. If one gets more expensive, I buy less of that and I buy less of the other thing. So demand is going to decrease. If the Lamb Bowl gets cheaper, if concessions get cheaper, I'm going to buy more Packers tickets. So if the price of the Lamb Bowl goes down, demand goes up of Packers tickets. Cheaper Lamb Bowl, more expensive. Right, and so you can think of all sorts of examples, right? So maybe you drink soda and pizza together. So if the price of pizza goes up, you're going to tend to buy less soda. Demand for soda is going to go down. So the price of a complement and demand of the good in question move in opposite directions. So with complements, kind of ran out of room here. I'm going to just bring up something a little bit different. So when the price of a complement, call it a complementary good, goes up, demand for this good, whatever that is going to go down, and vice versa. Price of a complementary ticket goes down, complementary good goes down, demand for this good is going to go up, right? So I consume them together. So when one gets more expensive, I buy less of it, and therefore I buy less of the complementary good as well. Okay, so that is substitutes and complements, a little bit of Wisconsin culture mixed in with the Packers and Lamb Bowl. And we have just a couple left to finish up in the next video.